Caution. This pill causes dementia. The common medications that could be silently increasing your risk of dementia. If you or someone in your family is currently taking medication for allergies, difficulty sleeping, insomnia, anxiety, depression, or bladder issues, it's important to understand that some of these commonly used drugs may be quietly increasing your risk, or your loved one's risk, of developing dementia over time. These medications may seem harmless, especially because many of them are sold over the counter, without a prescription, and are widely used in the United States. You may have even been using them for years without any side effects that seemed serious. However, recent findings from multiple large, well-designed studies have revealed something deeply a specific class of drugs called anticholinergics is consistently associated with memory loss, cognitive impairment, and even physical shrinkage of brain tissue. To be clear, this is not about obscure or experimental drugs. These are widely available medications, including many that are likely already in your bathroom cabinet, nightstand, or purse. One of the most troubling findings is this: taking certain anticholinergic medications every day for just 12 months has been linked to a 50% increase in the risk of developing dementia. This is not speculation, it's a conclusion supported by scientific evidence from respected peer-reviewed research involving hundreds of thousands of patients. So what exactly are anticholinergic drugs, why are they still so widely used, and most importantly, what safer alternatives exist that you and your doctor can consider? That's what we're going to unpack in the sections ahead, so you can make informed decisions that protect your brain health or the health of someone you care about. Let's start with understanding what anticholinergic medications actually do in the brain and body, and why their long-term use can become such a serious problem, particularly as we age. What are anticholinergic drugs? Anticholinergics are a class of medications that block the action of acetylcholine, a key neurotransmitter involved in memory, attention, muscle movement, and many other vital brain and body functions. Think of acetylcholine as the brain's electrical wiring. It allows your neurons to communicate effectively. When these medications are taken over time, they interrupt that communication. The result? Slower thinking, brain fog, confusion, and over time, irreversible memory damage and brain atrophy, shrinkage. Common drugs that fall into this category are extremely common and used by millions of Americans daily. Here are some allergy diphenhydramine, Benadryl, chlorpheniramine. Sleep aids, Tylenol PM, Unisom, Nitol. Anti-anxiety medications, hydroxyzine, Vistaril, Atarax. Bladder control, oxybutynin, Ditropan, Tolterodine, Detrol, Solifenacin, Vesicare. IBS treatments, dicyclamine. Motion sickness treatments, scopolamine patches. Many of these medications are available without a prescription. But that doesn't mean they're safe for long-term use, especially as you age. What does the science say? The risks are real, and well documented in peer-reviewed medical literature. A 2023 systematic review and meta-analysis involving over 1.5 million participants found that the use of anticholinergic medications was independently associated with a higher risk of all-cause dementia and Alzheimer's disease. Another meta-analysis of 21 studies showed that using anticholinergic drugs for just 3 months could raise dementia risk by 46% compared to those who didn't use them at all. A brain imaging study published in JAMA Neurology found that anticholinergic use was linked to reduced brain volume and altered brain metabolism, particularly in areas related to memory and executive function, like the hippocampus and cerebral cortex. These are not just short-term side effects. These are long-term, structural changes in the brain. Who is most at risk? While anticholinergic medications can negatively affect the brain at any age, certain groups are significantly more vulnerable to their long-term effects, especially when these drugs are taken daily or over extended periods. Let's take a closer look at who's at the highest risk. Adults over the age of 60. As we age, the brain naturally produces less acetylcholine, the neurotransmitter that anticholinergic drugs block. This decline in acetylcholine is a normal part of aging, but when you introduce medications that further reduce it, you're accelerating cognitive deterioration. This makes older adults far more sensitive to the cognitive side effects of these medications, even at low doses. Increased confusion or disorientation. Higher risk of falls due to slower reaction time. Worsening memory loss or brain fog. Elevated long-term risk of Alzheimer's disease and other dementias. In older populations, what may begin as mild forgetfulness can rapidly progress into significant cognitive impairment when anticholinergics are added to the picture. People already experiencing memory problems or mild cognitive impairment. If you or a loved one is already showing early signs of memory loss, such as forgetting conversations, getting lost in familiar places, or having trouble concentrating, then adding anticholinergic drugs into the mix can make things much worse. In people with early dementia or MCI, the brain is already struggling to communicate efficiently. Blocking us in this vulnerable state is like cutting the power lines to a struggling city grid. It speeds up the breakdown of brain function. Clinical studies have shown that individuals with pre-existing cognitive issues experience faster decline and earlier onset of full dementia when regularly exposed to anticholinergics. Anyone taking multiple anticholinergic medications at the same time, polypharmacy. One of the most dangerous scenarios is when a person unknowingly takes 2, 3, or even more anticholinergic medications simultaneously. This can happen very easily because these drugs are found in allergy pills, Benadryl, sleep aids, Tylenol PM, Unisom, bladder medications, anxiety meds, hydroxyzine, nausea patches, scopolamine. Even though each drug may only have moderate anticholinergic effects individually, when taken together, their combined impact becomes significant, like turning down the volume on the brain's communication system across multiple channels. This is especially common in seniors managing multiple chronic conditions, patients seeing several specialists who may not coordinate medication, people self-medicating with over-the-counter drugs without realizing their impact. Important note: many anticholinergic drugs are not labeled as such on the bottle. You have to actively look up whether a medication has anticholinergic properties, or ask a doctor or pharmacist directly. Why this matters so much? In clinical practice, it's shockingly common to see someone struggling with brain fog, confusion, or worsening memory, and it turns out they're unknowingly taking a combination of these drugs every day. When reviewed carefully, many of these medications can be safely switched or eliminated, dramatically improving mental clarity, often within weeks. What can you do instead? It's important not to stop any medication abruptly, especially if it was prescribed. But here are concrete steps you can take to review your current medications. Go through both your prescription and over-the-counter drugs. Look them up or consult your pharmacist or physician to see if they're anticholinergic. Talk to your doctor. Never make changes without medical supervision. Ask if you can safely switch to non-anticholinergic alternatives, especially for long-term use. Safer alternatives to consider. For sleep, try melatonin, magnesium glycinate, chamomile, or prescription options like trazodone, which has minimal anticholinergic effects. For allergies, use second-generation antihistamines like loratadine, Claritin, cetirizine, or fexofenadine, Allegra. They have far less impact on the brain. For bladder control, ask about mirabegron, a non-anticholinergic option. For IBS, natural remedies like peppermint oil may help. Your doctor can also suggest safer prescription alternatives based on your specific symptoms. Long-term how to safeguard your cognitive health. If you've been on anticholinergic medications for a long time, there's no need to panic. But it is time to take brain health seriously. The good news: there are clear, science-backed steps you can start today to protect and even strengthen your brain, no matter your age. Here's how to build a daily routine that supports long-term cognitive function and reduces your risk of dementia and memory decline. Regular, restorative sleep. Your brain cleans itself at night, literally. During deep sleep, your brain's lymphatic system flushes out toxins and waste products that build up during the day, including beta-amyloid plaques associated with Alzheimer's disease. Tips for better sleep. Aim for 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep every night. Stick to a consistent bedtime and wake-up time, even on weekends. Avoid screens and bright lights 1 to 2 hours before bed. Try magnesium glycinate, melatonin, or herbal teas, like chamomile or lemon balm, for natural sleep support. Practice a wind-down routine, dim lighting, quiet music, deep breathing, or journaling before bed. Chronic sleep deprivation is linked to a higher risk of dementia. Protect your sleep like your brain depends on it. Because it does. Engage in daily physical activity. Exercise isn't just good for your body, it's one of the most powerful tools we have for preserving memory and brain function. How it helps. Increases blood flow to the brain, delivering oxygen and nutrients. Stimulates the release of BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, a protein that helps grow and protect brain cells. Reduces inflammation and improves insulin sensitivity. Enhances mood and focus through endorphin release. What to do? Aim for at least 150 minutes per week of moderate aerobic activity, e.g., brisk walking, swimming, cycling. Include strength training 2 to 3 times per week. Lifting weights, bodyweight exercises, or resistance bands. Add balance and flexibility exercises like yoga or tai chi, especially for older adults. Even small amounts help. If all you can do today is take a 10-minute walk, do it. Consistency is what matters most. Manage insulin resistance, blood pressure and heart health. What's good for your heart is good for your brain. In fact, vascular health and cognitive health are deeply connected. Poor circulation, high blood sugar, and hypertension can all contribute to cognitive decline and increased dementia risk. Key strategies. Check your blood pressure regularly. Aim for levels below 120/80. If you have type 2 diabetes or prediabetes, focus on stabilizing blood sugar through diet, exercise, and if necessary, medication. Eat a Mediterranean-style diet, rich in vegetables, fruits, nuts, whole grains, olive oil, and fatty fish like salmon or sardines. Reduce processed foods, sugars, and refined carbs, which spike insulin and inflammation. Consider intermittent fasting or time-restricted eating, under medical supervision, to improve insulin sensitivity and metabolic health. Take labs seriously. Your A1C, triglycerides, HDL/LDL cholesterol, and blood pressure are all indicators of your brain's long-term health. Keep your brain stimulated every day. Your brain is like a muscle, use it or lose it. Mental stimulation encourages neuroplasticity, which helps the brain form new connections and adapt, even as you age. Brain-boosting activities. Learn something new, a language, a musical instrument, or a hobby. Read daily, books, news, or even audiobooks if reading is difficult. Do puzzles, crosswords, Sudoku, or brain-training games. Stay socially active. Regular conversations, group activities, or volunteering help maintain emotional and cognitive health. Explore creative activities like painting, writing, or dancing. These engage multiple brain regions. Even watching educational content or listening to podcasts on new topics can spark your brain to grow. Bottom line, you can't undo the past, but you can take powerful steps now to protect your future brain. Brain health is a daily practice, not a one-time fix. And if you've been on anticholinergic medications, especially for many months or years, it's even more important to double down on these strategies. With the right habits, support, and lifestyle changes, your brain can stay sharp, focused, and resilient well into old age. What you do today can protect your brain tomorrow. Every day, millions of Americans are unknowingly putting their brain health at risk by taking medications they assume are completely safe. These are not obscure drugs, they're found in virtually every pharmacy, sold over the counter, and prescribed by doctors for common conditions like allergies, anxiety, insomnia, and bladder control. And yet, long-term use of many of these medications can lead to serious, irreversible cognitive consequences, including memory loss, confusion, and even dementia. It's not just a matter of feeling foggy or tired. The long-term effects of anticholinergic medications go far deeper. They can literally change the structure and function of your brain, particularly in areas responsible for memory and decision-making. These changes aren't always obvious at first, which is why this issue often goes unnoticed until it's too late. That's why it's so important to be proactive. What you should do right now. If you, your parents, grandparents, or anyone you care about is regularly taking any of the medications discussed above, even ones sold without a prescription, this is the time to act. Don't ignore it. Just because a drug is over the counter doesn't mean it's harmless, especially when taken for months or years. Start a conversation with your healthcare provider. Bring a list of all medications you or your loved one are taking, both prescription and OTC. Ask your doctor or pharmacist, are any of these drugs anticholinergic? Are there safer alternatives I can switch to? What's the long-term plan for these medications? Don't stop medications on your own. Some drugs may need to be tapered or replaced strategically to avoid side effects or withdrawal. Educate yourself and others. Read the labels, do your research, and encourage your loved ones to do the same. Take inventory of your medicine cabinet and identify any risky medications that could be replaced or eliminated under professional guidance. Why this matters so much. Dementia is one of the most feared and devastating diagnoses a person can face, not just because of what it does to the brain, but because of the emotional and financial toll it takes on families. And while some risk factors like genetics or age are beyond our control, medication use is something we can control. In many cases, cognitive decline caused or worsened by anticholinergic medications is entirely preventable. But the first step is awareness. Help protect others. Share this message. There's a good chance someone in your life is taking one or more of these medications and has no idea they could be harming their brain. By sharing this information, you could be the reason they talk to their doctor. You could help someone avoid years of unnecessary mental decline. You could even change, or save, someone's future. Send this article. Start a conversation. Ask questions. Your actions might help prevent a loved one from slipping into avoidable cognitive damage. The bottom line. Your brain is your most important organ. It's how you think, remember, love, decide, and live. You only get one. So protect it. Stay curious. Stay informed. Stay proactive with your health. The small steps you take today, reviewing your medications, choosing safer alternatives, getting good sleep, staying active, may be the very things that keep your brain sharp and strong for decades to come. Take care of your brain. You're going to need it.